And we're live.
Hey,
Good
Hi,
morning, everyone.
good
good morning.
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 We are the New Brunswick Adoption Foundation, and we wanted to kick this week off with a quick live to talk about the fact that November is Adoption Awareness Month. So I'm going to take a quick minute to introduce you to our team, and then we're going to talk about all the different tools and all the different things that we're going to be offering you over the course of the month of November to help you through your adoption journey or your decision to adopt or wherever you are in the path. Alors, je voulais vous dire bonjour ce matin. On a décidé de vous retrouver pour vous présenter le mois de la sensibilisation, c'est difficile à dire, à l'adoption du Nouveau-Brunswick. Je voulais prendre quelques minutes avec l'équipe pour qu'on vous parle de toutes les ressources et les choses qu'on va vous offrir en ligne pendant le mois de novembre pour vous aider avec votre parcours d'adoption, que vous soyez déjà parent adoptant ou que vous soyez en train de décider si l'adoption, c'est quelque chose pour vous. Alors, en premier lieu, je vais vous présenter Suzanne Kingston. So first, just a quick interview. I'm going to present Suzanne. She is our executive director, and she's going to be talking about the week that she is taking on in a little bit. And then if Brandy, do you want to wave, Brandy, quickly? Brandy is, she is the regional coordinator for the North. And she will also be talking a little bit about the week that she's presenting for us this month. And Catherine is the regional coordinator for the Southwest, so that's St. John and region. And Kim, so on my screen, Kim, you're at the bottom. That's why I'm going in that order. Kim Driscoll is the regional coordinator for Fredericton and Miramichi region, so the central region of New Brunswick. And missing this morning, we have Candy, who I'm sure is off doing her own, she's doing her other work here. So Candy is the representative for La Péninsule, so for the peninsula. So the very first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about this morning is, if anyone's noticed or not, our website has had a slight revamp this morning. Because we're unable to host our annual conference this year due to COVID, parce qu'on n'a pas pu avoir notre conférence annuelle cette année à cause de COVID en personne, we decided to give you some resources and present as best we could using virtual and online options. So, on a décidé de vous proposer des ressources et du soutien à travers des systèmes digitaux, des systèmes en ligne qu'on peut partager. Alors, ce qu'on a fait, c'est on a fait une nouvelle face à notre site web. So, we gave our website a new face, and I'm going to share here. Oh, I think somebody wants to say something. Did I hear it? No? Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Takes a minute because I want to show you. Can everybody see that?
Hey, it's
What?
coming.
There
There
we
it
go.
is.
So this is what our new website looks like. So November is National Adoption Awareness Month. So when you go to our website, you can click right at the top and it'll tell you November is National Awareness Month. Find out more. You click there and it'll take you to our main page. So you'll see that we've broken up the month into 4 weeks with 4 different topics. And next, we're going to talk about what those topics are. But you're free to go through the site. In each of the weeks that we present, we have a little introduction. And then we have resources you can visit. We'll have webinars. We have support groups. So, we have the availability for you to ask questions, to like, to share. So please go visit, see what's there, see what's missing, and really enjoy the site and let us know what you think. And if you feel like there's anything missing, we'll do our best to add it for you. So just a quick peek at, you see there's lots of resources. You can see lots of videos to watch, and we'll be sharing throughout the month also on Facebook, sharing other additional information and resources that you can always come back and look at here. Donc, je montrais juste que sur le site, chaque semaine qu'on présente avec un différent thème, vous pouvez visiter les semaines. Par exemple, si je vais aux soins personnels, vous pouvez voir que il y a une introduction, il y a des détails de différents événements qui vont se passer pendant la semaine. Il y a de la possibilité pour vous d'interagir. Et si vous pouvez aimer ou partager, commenter, il y a des vidéos à regarder. Regardez la belle Brandy qui a fait une entrevue, là. Donc, je voulais juste vous montrer ça comme information. Alors, ce que je vais faire maintenant, I'm going to stop sharing. We're going to go back to everyone. And I'm going to start asking each one of you some questions. So I guess first, I'm first. So the first week, basically, we've done 4 weeks. So the first week is really adoption awareness. La première semaine, c'est la sensibilisation à l'adoption. This week, I'm going to present you guys with different perspectives on adoption. We're going to talk about what it's like, the adoption journey, what it's like right from the time that a child is either born or placed into foster care up into adoption. So we're going to talk about the perspectives of the birth parent, the foster families, the children themselves, the adoptive parents, and how that can impact everyone's journey. Donc, mon idée pour cette première semaine, c'est de vous présenter vraiment le parcours d'adoption du début, depuis que l'enfant soit né ou placé dans le système d'accueil, juste au moment de l'adoption. Et je vais partager avec vous des histoires des mamans de naissance, des mamans d'accueil, des histoires, des perspectives des enfants même. On va avoir des panels, etc. Donc, je vous invite à suivre avec nous le parcours cette semaine pour en apprendre plus sur l'adoption. Et je vais aussi avoir une session de soutien. Vous pouvez venir puis poser n'importe quelle question. I also have a support group at the end of the week that's just open Q&A. You can come and ask any of your questions about adoption. So do you guys have questions about my week before we move on?
Fantastic. I find it's a great week. C'est vraiment une belle occasion que les gens peuvent vraiment s'éduquer sur l'adoption. Ça fait que si vous songez à l'adoption, vous n'êtes pas certaine, si vous qualifiez ou n'importe quoi, venez nous voir. Patricia va vous répondre tout ça. Come with your questions and we'll answer them.
Thank you, Brandy. Okay, so our week 2, Suzanne is taking on week 2. And what topic are you covering, Suzanne?
Trauma-informed parenting. So when we kind of pulled this all together, we planned, we realized it was going to be, as Patricia explained, that, the in-person conference was going to be pretty difficult to do given the situation. But through this, it's one of these things like, obviously this is not a good situation to be in, but you take that lemon and you turn it into lemonade. And I feel like, I'm so proud of how this team is pulled together to do that. So then we thought, okay, you know what, we can actually do more, because through virtual, we're able to pull together a lot more resources. We're able to pull, in like videos and webinars from people that aren't going to be in New Brunswick necessarily. Like we're pulling in resources from all over the place. So what we did, as Patricia explained, we thought, okay, what are the key themes that really impact kids who need to be adopted, and then also families raising kids. And we do realize, and certainly I think we always were very aware of this, but through COVID and people feeling really isolated, the issue of trauma and how kids who've been traumatized, and all, there's a certain level of trauma in all of our lives, but certainly kids who've been adopted, even if at birth and or, adopted later in their childhood, have significant trauma that impacts how they feel, how they act, and and then how their families are responding to their behavior too. So we knew it was really important. And we also did a lot of research throughout, the team itself has done a lot of research over the last few months, especially gathering really great ideas and looking at the research around trauma. And there's a fantastic a lot of this research comes from Dr. Bruce Perry. So Google him and you'll learn a ton. And we've got links to a lot of his work. But what we've done is we've taken a lot of what has been developed based on his idea around how the brain is impacted by trauma. And so we're hoping that that what we've presented is really practical for you as a parent. And certainly it's things you can share with your schools, and also if you're pre-adoptive, learning about trauma pre-adoption is really important. So similar to what Patricia has outlined for her weekend, we all have a mix of panel discussions, support groups, Facebook Lives, all related to this. So for our week, we're going to have some videos at the beginning of the week. And then on Wednesday, we're going to post a little bit. It's Remembrance Day on my week, the Wednesday of my week. So we're going to post a little bit about PTSD and how, if you look at the stats for vets, the incidence of PTSD is quite high. But if you also look at the stats for PTSD of children who've been through unhealthy homes and then foster care, the actual PTS rate is higher than for soldiers. So, we are, very mindful of the experience of vets, but we also know that this impacts kids, and we need to have compassion for what kids are going through. So our resources are a lot about that for Wednesday, but then we're going to be doing a webinar Tuesday night. We're going to have an in-depth understanding of what is trauma-informed parenting, so people can really understand why kids act the way they act, what you can do about it, and what's the best way to respond. And then we're going to have this great team of staff who are raising kids. We're going to have Patricia, Catherine, and Kim, who are raising kids they've adopted, who've had very difficult journeys early in their lives, and they're going to be talking about how they take these trauma-informed strategies and apply them. So we're going to have the real life, theory's great, but like, how do you make it really happen in real life? So I'm so grateful that they're going to share their experiences. We're going to have a support group the Thursday night of the second week, so that people can come together and talk about how do they, what's going on in their lives, and how can we all share these understandings together. So we're trying to make it, lots of good background resources, but also some good practical, how can you apply this in your life and help your kids heal.
Sounds great.
Did you have something to add, Kim?
No, I said that sounds
Yeah.
such a great week.
Yeah. And of these guys, I probably know the least about trauma-informed parenting. But I'm learning from them. So thank you. And I really enjoyed pulling this together.
Merci, Suzanne. So I'm just going to quickly explain in French maybe what Suzanne was saying. So first, what I will say is that a lot of the resources that Suzanne pulled together, I'm sorry, I'm saying in French and I'm speaking English. Donc, je vais juste expliquer en français un peu ce que Suzanne a discuté. Donc, pour sa semaine, le thème, c'est la parentalité adaptée au traumatisme. Ça, c'est vraiment aider les enfants qui ont subi des traumas dans leur vie. Une chose que je vais expliquer, c'est que beaucoup des ressources qu'elle a trouvées en ce moment, on les a trouvées en français et en anglais, mais comme le thème même est tellement chargé, tellement lourd, cette semaine, des choses comme le webinaire, le groupe de soutien et plusieurs des vidéos vont être offertes en anglais, mais on a toute cette information-là aussi disponible en français et on va le présenter un petit peu plus tard, sûrement au mois de décembre ou dans la nouvelle année. C'était juste vraiment trop pour faire les deux, le français et l'anglais cette semaine. Dans ce mois-ci, il y avait juste trop d'informations. Le webinaire même dure 3 heures, donc je voulais juste pas qu'on mette tout ça là, c'est beaucoup pour tout le monde, mais vous allez bienvenue à participer en anglais pour le moment et sachez que la même information sera disponible plus tard en français. Mais en général, elle va partager de l'information qui parle de comment aider vos enfants à travers ces traumatismes, comment aider vos enfants à s'adapter maintenant qu'ils sont chez vous, vous donner les outils nécessaires que vous avez besoin justement pour les aider à traverser ces choses-là et partager des ressources et des vidéos. Et le jeudi, vous allez entendre en plus une discussion avec moi, Catherine et Kim, où on va vous parler de comment nous, on applique les choses qu'on a apprises sur la parentalité adaptée au traumatisme. So thank you, Suzanne. I just, in general, explained because I know we're going to do the French week for this probably a little bit later. So, so for week 3, we have self-care. So Brandy, I guess I introduced your theme. What topic are you doing?
Yeah, so Kim and I are actually partnering for this week. So if you've been following from the group for a while now, you've been seeing Monday Lives around self-care, because we've noticed that it's really important to be able to take care of ourselves, put our oxygen masks on first, if we truly want to be of service for our children. And after listening to the part that Suzanne just mentioned, that we do encounter and we do parent children that have on some level, trauma or challenges that we have to face with them. And so Kim and I really put together a great week for you guys to really empower you to take care of yourself, to make yourself a priority through this, through your parenting, through any challenges that are coming up for you. And it's really our intentions to share some tools and some tips and some inspiration and concrete ways to really take care of you. Okay, because it's one thing to just say, yes, self-care, 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 but we really want to offer you some concrete ways. And what Kim and I came up with is beyond self-care. So beyond the bubble bath, beyond the vacations, because we all know our time as parents right now is constrained. And we don't have this luxury. If you do, great. If you have the luxury to take a week vacation, by all means, go ahead. But we really wanted to dive a little deeper into what it truly means to take care of ourselves. And when we do, we feel more connected to ourselves and we feel more energized, because we all know we can be in a place where we feel a little bit depleted or, lack of energy when we don't take care of ourselves. So along those lines, putting your oxygen mask on first, this is where we want to kind of set the tone for you for that third week of adoption awareness. So with that said, is there anything else, Kim, on the top of your head that you want to add to that before I jump into the French version of that week?
No, I explained it really, really good. I just want everyone to know that we do understand it's very difficult with children with trauma and special needs to make time for yourself. Understand that if you don't make time for yourself, that as a family, you're not going to have the energy you need to get through this. So we're going to give you those tips and we're going to help you through.
Absolutely. So like Patricia mentioned and Suzanne mentioned, and what Catherine's going to talk about later is that our week is all kind of shaped in the same way. Just the content is going to kind of change up. So have an eye look for your eyes open for our lives, our webinars. We have some families that we interviewed, and we really want to make this the most practical way that you can really start. You can start now, like literally. So oui, fait que je vais sauter en français pour vous expliquer que la semaine de prendre soin de soi, comme Suzanne a mentionné avant, on a des enfants qui ont vécu soit du trauma ou qui ont des challenges en particulier qu'on doit faire face comme famille, comme parents, comme maman, comme papa. Et puis, on a vraiment réalisé, si vous nous suivez, ça fait un bout dans le groupe, vous voyez que chaque lundi matin à 10h, on parle de prendre soin de soi parce qu'on réalise à quel point c'est important de mettre notre propre masque d'oxygène dessus avant pour pouvoir vraiment être là, puis être là pour nos enfants, pour pouvoir vraiment les guider au travers de ce qui passe à travers, parce que vous aussi, vous ressentez ça de ce qui se passe à travers dans votre famille, puis on veut vraiment vous donner des outils pratico-pratiques que vous allez pouvoir vraiment ancrer dans votre vie pour pouvoir prendre soin de vous, pour pouvoir être revitalisé, plus d'énergie. Et puis, on comprend que vraiment, c'est pas évident de prendre du temps pour nous, surtout avec les genres de situations qu'on peut vivre en famille. Sauf qu'on veut vraiment mettre l'emphase sur des petites choses que vous pouvez mettre en place tout de suite pour pouvoir... ouais, je suis en train de manger mes mots en français pour vraiment pouvoir mettre l'accent sur prendre soin de vous pour que toute la famille, dans le fond, en bénéficie. Patricia, help me out here!
En bénéficie.
Ouais, donc c'est ça. Puis, regardez, pendant la semaine, on va avoir des Facebook Live, on va avoir des still webinars, on va avoir des entrevues avec des familles, avec des vraiment pour nous démontrer comment est-ce qu'ils mettent ça en pratique dans leur propre famille. Et puis, toutes sortes de belles choses pour vous autres la semaine-là. Donc, c'est Kim et moi qui fait partie de cette semaine-là. Fait qu'on on a hâte de vous voir pendant la semaine.
Merci, Brandy. Thank you, Brandy. Does anyone have any questions for Brandy, or do you want to add anything? No.
That's
So-
I
great.
just want to add, and maybe, maybe you said it and I'm just trying to, I want to reinforce that, the trauma informed, what you learn through that, or we've learned through that, is that how grounded and regulated you are affects everybody you interact with. Like, even though we're sort of saying all the things we're supposed to say, but if you're actually not regulated and feeling okay, that gets communicated and then it's contagious. So our kids, when they're unrelated, affects our ability to regulate, and vice versa. And it's a bit of a spiral. So that self-care piece we purposely put, tied closely in with trauma, because the number one thing you need to do to help your kids is be well yourself. Like, that's what the trauma informed week says. That's what the self-care week says. Like, it's kind of the same message, but different ways of saying the same thing.
So take the time during the self-care week, take the time to come and watch the webinars and listen in. And we have a comment actually in the video here in the chat. Somebody asks, will the webinars, et cetera, be recorded when we cannot attend the live events? And absolutely, we're going to make sure that everything's available and recorded for you. You'll be able to see it on Facebook. You'll be able to come and visit it on the website, because we know, of course, that you're not always available when you have your kids and so on. So we're going to try to make sure that you can reach that. And it's going to be there on the site for a long time. So unless something changes in the world, the resources will be available to you guys for a while.
Perfect.
Thank you. And then we have Jennifer says hello. So we say,
Hi. Good morning.
good morning. So our last, and it's definitely not our least important week, but the last week that we cover, Catherine is taking that on for us. So Catherine, can you tell us what topic you are covering?
So I am handling the week on diversity, and it's just a topic that's always been special to my heart as long as I can remember. I do want to put a little disclaimer out. While special needs is often included in diversity, I didn't include it in this week because most adoptions are special needs adoptions. So in the other weeks that follow, that will be, an assumed part of all of that. So the things that I'm looking at, my week is sort of made up of more than one topic because of diversity. And if the viewers think of anything that I have left out, please tell me and I'll look for information on it too, because it's important that I include everyone. So we have information on single parent adoption.
Yeah.
And that's important because we get a lot of questions. Can I adopt as a single parent? And, what are, the pros, the cons, all this, that sort of stuff. So there's going to be a lot of information on that. And also we have transracial adoption. And for that topic, there will be information from adoptive parents themselves. But I've got some really wonderful webinars that let the adoptees speak for themselves, because there's some very unique issues. And if we're going to figure out how to make these adoptions work well, we need to hear the voice of grown adoptees themselves. So we also have some videos on Indigenous adoption, which is very important because of being here where we are in Canada. And it will look a little bit too at the history of that too. Also, we're going to have a lot of information on LGBTQ 2+, and that's from two perspectives. We're going to look at what it's like to adopt as a parent in this group. And, that may have some similarities to the single parent adoption. Can I adopt? Yes. Is there a little bit of discrimination and barriers I'm going to face? Yes. So, but we're also going to look at the voices of the youth too, who are in foster care and are adopted from this population, because they're overrepresented in this population. And so there's some unique issues and things, like, because they're carrying trauma and all the other issues adopted kids are, along with dealing with this too and looking for acceptance. So we actually have a great panel during my week that's going to have both the parents, LBGQ2 plus parents, and youth also. So we're going to hear the voices of both. And yeah, I have a lot of resources. If you have any questions, let me know. And like I said, if you find a resource, tell me, because I would love to know more resources.
So I think one of the reasons too that we chose this theme, Catherine, is because we have so many questions about when people think, can I adopt? Is my family fit in? So we wanted to give everyone also a large picture to show all the different types of adoptive families that we have, just how diverse it is, and
There isn't
how,
just one kind.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
how all the different pieces of the puzzle fit. Donc,
I just want to
merci,
add,
Catherine. Yes.
I just want to add to that, I think, living in New Brunswick, we often think we're very traditional and not, there's not as much diversity here. Within the adoption community, it's incredible, the diversity that
It really is.
there's lots of single parents, there's lots of transracial adoption, there's lots of same-sex couples, LGBTQ adoption. So it's actually a community, the adoption community, relative to the greater community, I would say there's a greater sense of diversity and respect for diversity. So it's really a big part of adoption. Not just as you as an individual considering adoption, but also just within that community of people. There's a lot of
and it's great for people to know, because some folks, like the single folks in the LBGQ2 plus community, might have thought growing up, I can't do this.
right.
Because there was a time when you couldn't. When I first started looking at my family, that door was closed. And in the last 15 years, a lot of things have changed. So it's good for people to learn about that too.
Yeah.
Okay, donc, merci Catherine. Donc, Catherine nous dit qu'elle, cette semaine, elle va parler de la diversité dans les familles adoptives. On se rend compte que même si au Nouveau-Brunswick, si on pense à nous, on est dans une petite province avec la population n'est pas très élevée, mais dans la communauté adoptive même, on a une diversité incroyable. Puis c'est ça, on veut vous présenter ça pour que vous puissiez voir que ça ne fait pas de différence comment vous pensez commencer votre famille. Les familles adoptives, ça vient de toutes les formes, toutes les couleurs, de tous les bords. Et on va vous présenter justement des familles adoptives qui sont de la communauté LGBTQ, des familles adoptives qui sont avec des adoptions internationales. On va parler justement du point de vue des enfants qui peut-être sont en train de grandir dans une communauté qui ne leur ressemble pas ou qui viennent d'un autre pays. On va aussi parler des parents qui adoptent en célibataire, ou si c'est des parents, des parents qui adoptent célibataires ou des parents étrangers qui adoptent, etc. Donc, on veut vous montrer toutes les différentes diversités qu'il y a, puis comment ça peut affecter les enfants et les familles. Donc, c'est ça qu'on veut vous présenter. Does someone want to add anything else about Catherine's week?
One of the things I do want to add, just we had a discussion this morning that we are looking for resources around Indigenous adoption, and there isn't. It was actually not an easy effort, trying to find resources. They were looking, and that I think it is important to point out that as our experience in Canada around Indigenous history, our history and our history in relation to First Nations and Indigenous communities is complicated. So that has really impacted child welfare. And so the experience of children and families throughout history in Canada, if you are First Nations, Métis, or Inuit, has not, there's been a really tough history. So for people considering adoption, or people who are raising kids who are from those communities, it's really important not just to know about the nuts and bolts of adoption and just, the sort of racial differences is one thing, but knowing the history of our country and how that's impacted Indigenous communities is really important. So we added resources that aren't directly adoption related, because we know that if it's something you're thinking about or part of your family already, it's really important to explore and go deep into those issues, because it's we as a country, we've been raised within our society to think certain things, and we have to sort of uneducate ourselves to re-educate, to really learn. So it was tricky. Adoption's not an easy topic in Indigenous communities. So we've added some of those resources, and certainly, I know there's people out there that probably know much more than we do. So feel free to add any links, or if you know of things out there, if you are adoptive family and you've explored this in depth, please send us stuff we can share, because we do think it's an important, it's a particularly important topic. They all are, but one that we felt was important to kind of have a different angle on.
Yes.
And I appreciate the resources Suzanne found this morning, and I would love to have more. And I also wanted to say, like, some of my, if you look at my page, it's a little heavy on the transracial adoption section. And I'd have to say it's because there has been, because of the voices of adoptees, we've learned a lot more, and the mindset has really changed. There used to be sort of a colorblind mindset, a few years ago, and now we're learning a lot more. So that's why there's a lot on that topic.
Yeah, it's very complicated. The whole topic's so complicated. Yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you, everyone. I wanted to also extend a thank you to, we have many participants who shared their adoption stories with us. So you'll see that there's a section on the website that's all about different adoption stories. And I encourage everyone to go and read them. You can see what people have lived through and how they got to where they started to bring their children home. So I want a special thank you to everyone who took the time to share their adoption stories with us. And if anyone still wants to share their story, please feel free to reach out to one of us, submit them, and we'll be happy to post them for you and share them. Donc, je voulais envoyer aussi un gros merci à tous nos participants qui ont partagé leur histoire d'adoption. Vous allez voir sur le site web qu'on a une section dédiée justement aux histoires du Nouveau-Brunswick. Alors, si vous voulez aller voir puis regarder les histoires du début du processus jusqu'à la fin, c'est vraiment bien expliqué. Et aussi, si vous avez une histoire que vous-même, vous voulez partager, s'il vous plaît, contactez une des coordonnatrices, puis on se fera un plaisir d'afficher ça pour vous. So,
yes. And speaking of thank you, I want to thank this team. And I want to thank Patricia for the sort of IT, like her whiz kid approach to making the website work and making all of these technical things happen. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. And then all of this team who, really, when we thought about this sometime in the summer, early summer, I think, thank you for all the work you've done to pull this all together. And yeah, we've done it. I feel really good about the resource we've prepared for this month, but these resources will live on. So we've created a really good, set of resources for people to continue to use.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
So thank you, everyone. And so we'll see you throughout the month. Please share. The more this gets out to everybody, the more people we can help. So get it out there. All right.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you next time. Bye.